day everyone, Tommy with Half Mile here for another gear review video. Today we're going to be talking about 3 different Leatherman multi-tools. Now for those of you who have followed our channel and have seen the previous video where we covered 3 different Leatherman multi-tools for more of an EDC option, today what I want to talk about specifically are these 3 tools here as they pertain to the trail. Now obviously Leatherman makes a lot of tools and there's a lot of great multi-tools and multi-tool makers out there, but these are some of the ones that have found themselves in my system, EDC, and on the trail. So I wanted to kind of just talk to you about those today. Now what we want to start off with is what the 3 tools are specifically and what they have to offer. Starting with this one. This is the Skeletool CX. Now this also comes in a SX version and a standard Skeletool version, but this one, the CX, has a 154 cm cutting blade, which is a little stronger than the 420 high carbon that comes on the standard one, and there's also some carbon pieces in it that make it a little lighter on the trail. The next one we're going to be covering is the Leatherman Wave, which is one of Leatherman's most popular multi-tools. Very functional, very versatile, very feature-packed. And then a new one that Leatherman has offered within the last couple of years, this is the Leatherman Signal, and this one is geared specifically towards the outdoors. Now, these tools have things in common. Some have pluses, some have minuses, some have benefits, some have deficits as they pertain to the trail. So what I want to do is give a quick overview of what each tool has to offer. And again, we're going to start here with the Skeletool CX. Now, as I said before, this version, the CX, has a 154 cutting blade, but the reason that I find this has been so popular on the trail is the fact that it is extremely lightweight. Now, if you're counting grams and you're counting ounces and you want to shed weight, but you want to keep a capable tool with you, then the Skeletool is definitely a great place to start. Now, what this tool comes equipped with is, go ahead and open it up here. This has the Leatherman more skeletonized plier head. Now you have the standard needle nose, you have the bull nose grips here, and then you also have a pair of wire cutters there right at the point of the close. So that makes up the plier head. And then over here you have a carabiner. Now you can attach this to your pack, you can attach it to a belt loop, you can attach it to a lanyard, and as you see right there, the carabiner clip. But what it also has right here on the place where the carabiner stops and makes the break is also a bottle opener. So hey, if you find yourself out in the trail and you need to open up a bottle, then you've got a bottle opener right there. And the other thing that the Skeletool comes with is an opening for Leatherman bit driver set. Now I covered this in the last gear video that we did, but Leatherman offers a standard bit kit set that they offer. And as you can see, this one comes with one, and then there's also one hidden right here in the scale. You can push it up, and there it is right there. And then it fits right back down into that slide. And the bits that come with the Skeletool here are 2 different versions of a flat blade, 2 different versions of a Phillips bit. Okay. Now, because this one will receive these bits, it will also take the bits from the Leatherman bit kit, and that can be purchased separately. It's a great addition to any Leatherman tool if you have the bit driver set. It's phenomenal, lots and lots of different options. And then one of the last things available on here, the Skeletool, is of course a belt clip if you want to keep it on your hiking pants, or if you carry it every day, stick it in your pocket. So again, this is a phenomenal option for the trail. You've got a great blade here, great smooth cut, good blade, not serrated. The regular Skeletool comes with a combo edged, which is half straight and the back half is serrated. So if you want to cut some paracord, or if you need to, cut other things, you find yourself needing to do that. On the CX, it is a standard straight edge blade, but again, a very lightweight option. And this is one of my favorites for the trail. Now, I've noticed a lot of people that take the Wave with them on the trail. Now, of course, you can find yourself going, well, this is a very heavy multi-tool, and it is. It does have some weight, it does have some heft to it, but when you look at what the Wave has to offer, you may find yourself going, well, you know what, I can take on a couple of extra ounces to have those tools available with me. Now, the Wave itself comes with 4 outside opening tools, and these are tools just like the Skeletool. You never have to open it, So one-handed open, and the blade is accessible without ever having to open up the tool itself. So on the Wave, you have 4 of those. You have a standard blade here. That is 420 high carbon. Great blade, very sharp. Just got to keep an edge on it. It loses its edge a little quicker than some of the higher quality steels, but still a fantastic blade. The second thing on this side is a saw. This obviously proving very useful in the outdoors if you need to do some limb trimming, make a little fire, get yourself some extra wood, whatever you may need a saw for. Then you flip it over to the other side of the tool, and instead of a straight edge, you have a serrated edge. And once again, as we discussed with the combo blade on the Skeletool, you can cut paracord, fishing line, nylon straps if you find yourself in an emergency situation. Great serrated blade. And then on the same side of this tool, you have a 2-sided file. And here you have a diamond file, very smooth for sharpening your blades and other things that you just need that fine polish for. And then on the other side, you have a more coarse edge file. And then if you look right here along the ridge, you have markings here with filings in case you need to notch something, say a stick or other situations like that. So 4 tools before you've ever even cracked open the Wave. Let's go ahead and open it up. As standard with Leatherman, you have your plier head, and these function very similar to the Skeletool. You open it up, you have your needle nose pliers, your bull nose here, and then you have your cutters here as well. Okay, but on the inside of the scales here, on this one side, you have several tools. The first being a very, very, very thick flat blade, but this can be used as a pry, a number of different things. A scraper, obviously its primary function is just a very thick flat blade, but can be used for other things as well. Then right in the middle of that, you have a precision driver, okay? And this has a 2-sided bit as well. If you can see that, you have a very fine Phillips bit and a very fine precision flat bit. This for making micro adjustments. Probably more find yourselves needing this for an everyday carry option. Never quite know if you may need a precision driver on the trail, but the good news is you have one if need be. And then the final thing on this side of the scale are a pair of scissors. So you pull that out there, careful on the opening, and then the scissors like so. Now on these Leatherman, on this tool, all these tools are locking. And so just to show you in action, here are the scissors. Those are actually very sharp, very useful. And then to close those, open it back open and close it like that. On the other side of the scales on this one, you have, again, you have the opening for the Leatherman bit driver. And then of course when you open that up and you close it like this, you've got a great surface to crank on something if you need to. And then of course I mentioned the bit kit as something that you can purchase, but you can also purchase the bit extender, which will give you about this much reach inserted into this tool, and then you can insert the other bit there, and that gives you a great length of reach for whatever the situation may call for. Now back to the trail. Obviously you may not need all of these things, okay, but then one final thing on this side is a standard can opener. So a great set of tool options in this tool, and as you see here, there is a belt clip on it. You can purchase this separately from Leatherman. It doesn't come with it, but it can be purchased for EDC carry. Again, I found I can't carry this in my hiking pants. It's a little too heavy, wants to start tugging on those. But what I have found is that for throwing this in the pack, if that's how you like to carry a tool, or throwing it in a hip pocket, depending on what kind of pack you take, this can be an incredible option and just give you a kind of sense of security out there for whatever the trail may throw you. Now the final one we want to cover today is the Leatherman Signal. It's built on the same idea as the Leatherman Mutt, but this one of course being geared once again for the outdoors. Now the tool set on this one is kind of a mix between these tools. It doesn't have everything the Wave has to offer, and it has a little more than the Skeletool has to offer. And what we want to do at this point is cover those right now. Now on the outside accessible tools, you have a combo blade, which is a serrated blade here on the back side and a straight edge on the foreside. Great blade right there. And then right next to it you have the same saw that is available on the outside accessible tools in the Leatherman Wave. So again, This is a great saw. The great thing about these, or that the teeth on them are very aggressive and they're directional. So as you push and as you pull, you're getting a cut either way. And I've cut some branches myself. I've even done some drywall work with this tool before, and it just makes very quick work of it. The most I've had the ability to do with this one was several months back, cutting a limb on a Christmas tree. But I'll tell you what, I was able to do it very quickly. The teeth on these saws are just phenomenal. They're great for their size and what you can do with them. Okay, now you'll see that there's some yellow accents here, and these are actually tools themselves, but you can't get to them, this one in particular, without opening up the tool. But the one final one we'll cover here, you have this safety right here. And what you do is you push that down and push this back. What you have is a file. Now the coating on this file is extremely similar to the diamond file side of the file that is available on the Leatherman Wave. And this you can sharpen your knife blade with. And then the great thing, you've got that stud there, and then you push it down, put it back in place, and then it locks, and that's not coming off. Now right here on the outside, you also have a carabiner, which is very similar to the Leatherman Skeletool. Okay, you can clip that on a belt, you can clip that on a pack, you can clip that where you need to. But you'll also notice that here you have a hexagonal opening, and this can take standard or small hex bits. So that's actually a pretty neat option there. And then what you'll see right here on top of the elevated part of the carabiner, it's a little thicker, obviously, than the metal found here. And what this is designed to be is a hammer. If you need to break something open out on the trail, or if you want to use this to drive tent stakes, this hammer is what that is available for. So again, hey, that's a great option, great thinking. Now on the other side of this, you have a clasp that if you push up, it releases, and you open the tool. And then what we'll do right here is cover the plier head as well. Now this one is slightly different than the plier heads here on the Wave and on the Skeletool. These have the needle nose and the bull nose openings, but what this has is a little different. What Leatherman is starting to offer a lot more on their multi-tools, and that is removable or interchangeable, I should say, 154 cm removable or interchangeable cutting blades. So, you know, these are your wire cutters, and they're great, but obviously if the ones run out here, or if you bend them, or if you get something a little too heavy for it and it bends them, you're kind of stuck with that. You can maybe file it, get it back in place, get it bent out, that one, or on the Skeletool. But with these, you can actually remove them and order a new set from Leatherman. So that's a great option. Now inside of the scales on this, you have also, once again, you have the socket for the Leatherman bit driver set. That is one tool. And then next to that, you have again the can opener. And then next to that, you have what is sometimes a very good tool for the outdoors, and that is an awl. Now this is good for you know, puncturing, if you need to get into a piece of material, if you have to do some kind of trail sewing. You never know, things that can happen. One time, me and the guys were out on a hiking trip, and thank goodness we didn't experience this, but when we were, you know, getting off the trail, getting back to our vehicle, we realized that you know, one of our guys' packs, both where the shoulder straps attached to the pack, both of those, because it was an older pack, both of them were frayed and literally hanging on by threads. So of course, if we'd have had those pop out while we were on the trail, that could have been a very rough time. But an awl is something that can help you out with that, to get into that deep puncture, do some, you know, if you have some fishing line, do some kind of on the trail mending if you have to do that. And that is an awl available here in this tool, and this tool only. You don't have an awl on the Wave, you don't have an awl on the Skeletool, but you do have one on the Signal. Okay, so that is what is on the inside of this scale, and there are no tools on the inside of this scale. But what you do have, you have a little latch here. You'll see a metal, and it's holding on to this yellow part. You push it back, and you push this tool on the inside. And what you have here is a two-part tool. Now, this is a ferrocerium rod. Now this creates a spark. If you need to do some lighting of a fire out there and don't have a match, or maybe use an isobutane, you know, whatever you might have to do in an emergency situation to get a fire started, this ferrocerium rod is going to be a good option for that. And then on the other side, you have a safety whistle. So won't blow that too loud, but you get the idea. Now to get this tool back inside of the multi-tool scales itself, you see the notch here. You put it on the inside right there, and then just push it down, until it latches back into there. Close the tool up, and then you push the lever down here, which locks the tool closed, because if not, it does stay pretty loose, a little more loose than the other ones. That's what that latch is there for. You've seen it on the scale, the weight for the Skeletool, for the Wave, and for the Signal. Obviously, it's easy to tell which one is the lightest and which one is the heaviest. Of course, the Skeletool being the lightest and the Wave being the heaviest, but as you can see, between the two of these, there's not even a full ounce of difference. And so what I want to talk to you about today as we close this time is just a quick overview of what I've seen on the trail. Now, once again, these are my opinions. Of course, you hike your own hike, as we say out there, and of course you can EDC your own EDC options on the trail, on the everyday, but these are just some observations that I've made for myself. Now, obviously a saw is incredibly important on the trail, as is a blade, and the ability to be able to compress things, get things out, with the pliers. Those are great. Last trip we were on, one of our buddies had an issue with his trekking poles. One of the adjustments was extremely loose, and so we were able to take that out, use the pliers, and get that tightened back up. So we were able to do that because we had the tool on the trail. But you kind of have to ask yourself, what do I need, what do I want, and what am I willing to carry? Now, I've generally carried the Skeletool just because it's an extremely light option, because I generally like to keep my tools tucked into my pocket, so obviously a belt clip is very important for me. But generally speaking, I'm wearing convertible hiking pants, generally nylon, and so those are pretty light duty from the standpoint of having a heavy multi-tool clipped inside the pocket, so that's going to eventually begin to tug down on your pants. So obviously the Signal and the Wave are not going to be options for myself if I want to keep that tool on my person. However, the Skeletool is a great option for that. But on this last trip, I really wanted to give the Signal a try, and I knew it was too heavy. Now, I have carried this as an EDC option, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to put that in the pants that I usually hike in. So, I hike with an Osprey pack, and those have great hip belts, the particular model that I have. And so what I was able to do was I was able to take this and stick it right in the hip belt pocket when I needed it, just opened that, took it right out, and I was able to use it. Now, some people, that may not be an option. You may say, well, if I get separated from my pack for some reason, I want to have my tool with me. You know what? And that's something to consider. So that is one thing. Now, if I am myself taking a look at the observation of putting this inside of a pack, and I realize to myself that there is less than 1 ounce of weight difference between the two of these, I've generally pretty much decided that for the tool set, I'm going to probably go with the Wave, because the Wave has more tool options just for whatever it may happen. Now, I realize you don't get the awl in the Wave, but there are other things you can use here for that option, things with the knife, things with the scissors, and so now once again, that is a decision I've made, because I recognize that the weight of these is so close, and I'm going to take the one that has a few more tool options just because that's what I feel comfortable on the trail with for myself. But if you're wanting something that is primarily geared for the outdoors, the Signal is a great option. You've got the ferrocerium rod, you've got the file, but again, you have the file here. Now, you don't get a ferrocerium rod with these, but generally speaking, if you travel with matches, or if you have, once again, a burner that you use for your cook stove, there are options and other ways to ignite a fire. So you may not need the ferrocerium rod, or you may have a separate one that you carry. Some guys like to carry them on necklaces or on lanyards separate from them. So once again, it's just things that you need to look at and say, this is what I have with this tool, what I have with this tool, what I have with this tool, or whatever multi-tool you may be bringing with you. Some guys like to hike with pocket knives, Swiss Army knives or other blade options, and that's good too. But to take a look at what these three specific tools have to offer, I've found they've been very useful on the trail. I know a lot of people who carry with all three, and all have their pros and their cons. So today we just kind of wanted to offer these to you, give you their tool sets. We've covered the basics on them today. A great set of options if you want to hit the trail, a great set of options if you want to hit them as everyday carry pieces. But thanks again for tuning in today. If you'd like any more information, be sure to check us out at halfmiletogo.com. Check us out on the socials. Thanks so much for tuning in.